It's about commitment, healing, honor, respect. This is Barber Life. Cutting hair, I like it. Barbershop, I like it. Change your life, I like it. Conversate, I like it. All right, peace to the family. We here. Got a very special podcast or show for you today. This is Conscious Heads Barber and Boot Camp. Again, boot camp is not just me training people here in the shop, but the boot camp is learning, always taking the information and knowledge to the next level. So we always in a boot camp. We always in a boot camp of life. Whatever field you in, you should always be in a boot camp. The day you cease to be in a boot camp will mean probably something else. But we here today. We got a very special show. A brother who, like I said, I heard about before. I mean, I've heard about him so many times. You know, he had a successful shop. Well, he has a successful shop called Nile Style off of Northern Parkway and Harford Road in Baltimore, here in Baltimore. And, you know, it's been people have been talking about it for years. And I would see the name because we had Conscious Heads, and I saw a Nile Style. I'm like, man, what if this brother is conscious? I wonder if this brother, you know what I mean, Nile Style, they got to know something. They got to know something. So I would oftentimes see it. But then I started to hear about this brother and how he was, you know, training up barbers and how he was doing some great things in the community. Never got to meet him. One day we do a Reality Speaks lecture series that we actually do. And one day the brother, it was a brother, one of my barbers in the shop. And, you know, I said, man, I want to meet that brother one day. And he was like, you know, he was at your lecture the other day because he was there working the door where one of the brothers was. I said, he was at my lecture? He said, yeah, you know what I mean? So I finally got in touch with him. And then he said, you know, the brother had told me that he had attended quite a few of our lectures before in the past. But brothers and sisters, you know, I just want to bring them up. You know, I could say like, you know, a legend in the community because he had a very successful shop and, you know, and continues to have a very successful shop. So let's bring up brother Shanile Shakoor. You know, I wish I had my thing queued up. I give you a round of applause with my claps and stuff. I don't have that queued up right now. But how you doing today, brother?
I'm good, man. Excellent, actually. Good to be here.
No doubt. Definitely good to finally link up, man. And you know what I'm saying? And, you know, and do something together. I'm sure, you know, in the future we'll be able to do, you know, many more things together,
Absolutely.
You know, as we, you know, flow. But so are you originally from Baltimore?
No, I'm not originally from Baltimore. I'm originally from New Jersey, a city called Jersey City, New Jersey. Born and raised there. And I came to Baltimore when I graduated high school back in '90 and attended Morgan State University. So that Morgan State University brought me to Baltimore and fell in love with the city. And I never left until 3 years ago. Until I moved to Florida. So Morgan State University brought me to Baltimore.
Wow. Okay, that's what's up. Okay, so let's kind of, so people really not like know who you are and know your story. Well, who is brother Nile? I know that everybody call you brother Nile. Who is brother Nile right now as we speak in 2024? You know what I mean? Like, you know, describe your life right now.
Okay. You know, right now, you know, my days are a little different than it was, let's just say 3 years ago. You know, 3 years ago, now was, you know, up in the morning, super early in the shop. I'm in the shop from, you know, open close, training barbers, doing a lot of things in the community. You know, when I moved, you know, now here, I still have Now Style. Still managing it from afar. I'm still active in the things that we do there. It's just that I'm not, you know, so much hands-on. But on an everyday basis, there are some things about me that are fixed. And that's, you know, stretching in the morning, you know, working on my second language, you know, which is Spanish and that I'm learning, you know, meditating, you know, walking, reading. So those 5 things are fixed. Anything else is something that, you know, I plan, you know, on my Sundays, usually Sunday evenings, and I try to get those things done before the week is out. So now, Shanile, every day is something different. Every day is every day is not the same. It's every day is a different day.
So
But
did you plan to retire so soon, or was this something that came like out of COVID? Because when you decided to move, was that like around COVID time? Was this before COVID a little bit when you actually retired from cutting behind the chair?
you know what? It wasn't planned. It wasn't planned, but I was ready. Um, the crazy thing was we came down, myself and my wife, we came down to Florida. And I was trying to find something to do, for her birthday. And my sister lived down in Florida. So, we would travel down here often. Came down and we were looking, at different communities and different, houses and stuff like that, because we knew that, we would want to move. Came down in 20 February, right before the pandemic. And
Okay.
we wound up, going and looking at different properties. And the opportunity came about, and we was like, hey, you know what? Let's make the move. Just like that. And
Wow.
made the move. 6 months later, I was here. I mean,
Wow.
like 6 months later, I was here. But the thing is, that's been the thing with myself and being in the barber industry. I was always ready for the opportunity, even with Nile Style. It wasn't so much planned to the T, but it was the everyday getting ready. And when that opportunity came about, I took it. And
Gotcha,
that's
gotcha.
that's been, part of my story. And it amazes me at times when I think about it.
All right. So what we're gonna do now? So now we're gonna go back into, what I mean, I just wanted to give people just a little picture of where you are now. But now let's go back, what I mean, and recap,
Okay.
and talk about how you got started with barbering. You know what I'm saying? So you was in Jersey City,
Jersey City.
and you know what I'm saying. Was your parents a barber? Was your grandpapa a barber or something like that? Or how did you get started?
My dad. See, I'm one of 5 boys, and you know, my father worked in a corrugated box company. So, he worked in a factory and he didn't have money to send 5 boys to the barbershop. So my dad would cut our hair. So we always had clippers in the house. And my older brothers would, started experimenting once, we started getting a little older, and they would experiment and cut their friends and different things like that.
Right.
But how it really started was in art class. Now, mind you, art was my worst subject. I did not like art. I did not like drawing. I didn't like any of it. But I'm going to tell you something. It became my most influential class in high school.
Right.
I'm in class one day, and this is how it started. I'm in class. Now, mind you, I've already had, that environment of having clippers in the home and seeing my brothers and them do it and my father doing
Right.
my hair. So I'm in class. My teacher, Miss Sharon, she has this project that she wanted us to do. And it was called stippling and cross-hatching. Now, cross-hatching was this thing where you took lines and you put them from different side to side and basically X's. And the
Okay.
X's went from dark to light. And the stippling was, instead of lines, you're doing dots. So she was doing the dots, and as the dots went down, it got lighter and lighter. Now, she had 2 completed index cards. And when she displayed them, there was something inside me that was just like blown away. I was like, wow. And what I was looking at was a fade.
Right. Right.
And I just sat there almost in amazement. It's like my world just completely stopped. And I didn't just look at hair the same. I would go to the barbershop with my friends, and I was sitting there and wait for him, and I would just watch the barber, and I would look at how he would cut someone's hair, and it was like this total transformation.
Right.
And I was
Right.
back in amazement. And now, having this art class project, I sort of gotten this other resource, and now this is going back and forth in my head every time I saw a
Right.
haircut.
Right.
It was the craziest thing. And from there, I started experimenting with my friends. And one of my
Start getting some
friends,
victims.
Yes, and one of my friends, man, we were at his house, and his mother gave him some money, and she said, go to the barbershop or whatever. So he gets the money. After he leaves the house, he says, "Why don't you cut my hair? We take the money, we go get pizza."
Right.
I'm like, man, are you crazy? He like, nah, I know you can do it. I know you can do it. So I thought about it for a while and I said, you know what? All right, come on, let's try it. I said, but before we get the pizza, we got to go back to your house and let your mother see your haircut. If we get it off, then we go to the store. He was like, okay, cool. So I cut his hair. We went back to his house. His mother didn't say anything. I said, yo, just walk around, just chill. And, she looked at it, and everything, and everything was good. So we got pizza. Since that day, I had other kids in the community coming to me. Yo, cut my hair. We go get some pizza. I ate so much pizza that it was ridiculous.
Wow.
It was ridiculous. So I said, you know what? I'm enough with the pizza. I think I started charging like $1. And I was in my mother's bathroom cutting hair. Every time she left, I'm in there, got the clippers, and I'm cutting. And it got to a point where I was messy, was leaving hair all around the place. And, I didn't clean up that well. I thought I did, but I didn't. And, my mother started fussing. She told my father, she said, hey, listen, I need you to get him in the basement, set him up because I can't have him upstairs. So we set up we set up the barbershop in the basement, and we went to the hardware store. We got the lights and everything. And so now, I'm pretty much in business, and now I'm charging $3.
Right. So you didn't have no victims, nobody you chopped up. I mean, it was pretty smooth for you. Like, because I know when I started, I had some people, man, that was pretty mad at me. Early on in the game.
You know what? What's crazy, man? It was pretty good. It was pretty good, moving forward. I had a little issues with the with the high top once the high tops and everything came out.
Yeah.
Like the 89, 90. But the crazy thing was, man, I got a few victims, man, once I went to the barbershop. Which was like just totally backwards, totally backwards.
Right.
But yeah, that's how I got started. And my name started getting out there, and I just started. The basement became like it was. If you ask anybody that was, in my, on my block or my neighborhood, and you say the basement, everybody knew about the basement, man. It was.
Right.
We had weights down there, cats working out. I'm down here, man. I'm just.
What grade was you in when this was going on? What grade was you in?
I was in the 10th grade.
Okay.
I was 10th grade. I was 15 years old.
Okay, so then you wound up just cutting everybody's hair for like the prom. I mean, by the time you got to the 12th grade, cutting all everybody's hair for the prom and everything else. So it was just good money for you, I guess, during that time.
It was good money. And speaking of the prom, there were certain cuts where I wasn't pretty sure of myself. But the crazy thing was, man, and this is important about your circle. I had people who believed in me more than I believed in myself.
Right.
Had a friend of mine, one of my best friends, Melvin Hand. He was a barber as well, sort of out the basement kind of, person. But I think he was a little more advanced than me. Mm-hmm. And he was going to the prom, junior prom. And he was like, yo, Dad, I couldn't get my haircut. I need a haircut. And he was like, yo, do cut my hair. And I was like, yo, I said, I cut around the way and everything. I said, man, but you're going to the prom.
Right.
He was like, yo, so what? He was like, I know you can do it.
Right.
He said, nah, I know you. I was like, nah. He was like, nah, I know you can do it. So I wound up cutting his hair for the prom, man. And it came out right. And I gave him one of those slopes when a slope in the front. And that was my first time doing a slope. And I just look back at that time, man, and I just look at the people, my friends in my circle, man. They really believed in me, and they pushed me to do more. They pushed me, I need the razor. I'm like, I never did the razor. I know you can do the razor. I'm like,
but it's all about the vibe. And when I'm training, and when I got different students and all, I watch different ones, and there's different students who can get people fast and easy. and there's people that believe in them, just like you talking about. And then there's people who nobody will let them cut their hair. And I talked to him about that. I said it's the vibe. I said it's all about the vibe that you giving off. You know what I mean? And when you got a certain vibe, or like a leadership vibe or whatever, and people be like, man, I know you can do it. I mean, they'll tell you that you can do it. Then there's some people, like I got some students, man, and some of these students be like, like, man, I can't get nobody let me cut. I said, because it's the way you act, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you not sure about yourself. You so not sure about yourself, and then you like, hey man, let me cut your hair. I might mess you up. But let me, like you can't carry it like that, and you gotta have there's a certain way that you carry yourself that you get people. Because while I'm training you, you gotta get people that that's going to be there for you, that's going to help you. Grandparents, your uncles, whoever it may be, that's the people that's going to help you. But if I'm trying to teach you this, and then you're not getting other people to cut, then we wasting our time. You have to, like when I started, I had to talk people in to cutting their hair. You know what I mean? Then after a while, people did start coming to me once they started to understand and realize. I did hack some people up also, but I was confident though. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man, you gotta let me cut your hair. Come on, man. You know what I mean? Let me get these clippers on there. And so it's like it's a certain vibe making people believe in you, and and that's a big deal. So it's all about the vibe. I tell people, like even a lot of my young guys that come in and they they don't talk a lot. I said, let me tell you something. You're gonna have a real hard time cutting hair if you don't get your vibe straight. You got to be able. That's part of the thing. Is talking to people. Talking to people. So it was your vibe, bro. It was your vibe, and you was a leader then, you know what I'm saying? You probably played sports or whatever. I don't know what else you did, you know what I mean, that you actually probably played leadership or somewhere around the way doing something in school that people just trusted you. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't hard for them to be like, hey man, cut my hair, you can do it. You know. So so that's a good thing, bro. That's a good thing. So so you went on to from the basement to work in a barbershop in Jersey City?
No, actually, I was asked to work in a barbershop in Jersey City, but I was in the 12th grade.
Okay.
And I was at the pizza parlor, and this guy came up to me and he was like, hey, he said, you now, right? And I was like, yeah. He said, I heard about you. He was like, yo, we looking for a barber. And but I was like, I'm about to go to Maryland, I'm about to go to school, in Baltimore, whatever. And so that was that. I would have loved to cut in my city. But then I kind of didn't, because I was making money in the basement, and the basement was, epic.
Right.
But when I went to Baltimore, the crazy thing was when I went to Baltimore, I started cutting out the dorm, cutting out my apartment. And it came to a point where I wanted to get into a barbershop, and but nobody wouldn't put me on. I had my little book, had my cuts in there and everything. I would go around. I don't know how many barbershops I went to, but nobody would put me on. They'd be like, you got license? I didn't have license.
Right.
And they was like, nah. And I was like, okay, here we go. So the story was, my girlfriend at the time, I told her my situation and what I was, kind of going through. And she said, well, her roommate works, her roommate's boyfriend works at a barbershop called the Afro Hut on York Road in Cold Spring.
Legendary.
And, they train up there. She's like, he doesn't have a license, so, you might want to go up there. So I was like, well, I haven't been there. So I went to the Afro Hut, and, I spoke to the legendary Mr. Harry, RIP. And he put me on. And that was it. That was it, man. The love was all over the place after that. I was hook, line, and sinker. Yeah.
Man, talk about the influence of the Afro Hut. I mean, so far as I knew, like their business model was everybody had to wear pants and a shirt. You know what I mean? You had to kind of be not dressed up, but maybe very casual. There was a business model there. Can you talk about that?
Oh yeah. When I went, I had this image in my head of what a barber was. And that was basically, you just sort of came as you coming off the streets, and you wear your street clothes. So I came in with a pair of jeans on, a flannel shirt. Remember the flannel shirts was in,
yeah,
and I got a pair of Guess jeans on. I walked upstairs, I talked to Harry, and I said, yeah, I'm looking for a job. And he just looked at me. And he said, you do go to a institution of higher learning, don't you? I said, yeah. He said, so when you go to the Career Development Center, do you come in dressed like that? Or do you come dressed with a shirt and tie on? And I thought about it for a second, and I said, "Wow." I said, "You know what? I probably put on a shirt and tie." He said, "Well, this is a business." He said, "Why you didn't come in here with a shirt and tie on?" I said, "Because this the barbershop."
Right.
And he said, "What?" And he just looked at me, just real strange. I mean, he just looked all through me.
Right.
And he, son, door. So I opened up the door, and it was a line of barbers, and all the barbers had on shirt and ties and slacks. Now, mind you, I didn't even see that when I walked in.
Right.
Until
Right.
he told me. That's how far off I was.
Right.
Wasn't even in my circumference. So I'm looking, and I see these guys with these shirt and ties, and I'm like, wow. He said, now those are technicians. They're not barbers, they're technicians. So he said, what I want you to do, son, I want you to go, change your clothes, and bring somebody up here that you can cut. Let me see what you can do.
Okay.
Man, I ran home, man. I got on a pair of shirt, tie, slacks. I ran to Morgan asking people, hey, cut your hair. Let me cut your hair. Let me cut your hair. And this brother by the name of Clark that was working at the candy counter at Morgan. And he was like, hey, I'm about to get off in 15 minutes. I'll go with you. So I took Clark up there, and I cut Clark's hair. And Mr. Harry tore my cut apart. I thought I was good. He tore it apart. I was like, oh, God. So he came. So we went in the office, and he talked to me and everything. And so he wound up hiring me, man. And I wound up starting that next Thursday. But the Afro Hut instilled in me what business was.
Right.
And that we as Black people, that there is an excellence that we can expect from each other, and we can expect from our businesses, and that the barbershop is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
That's right.
And that's what he taught. And he said, it's more than just cutting hair. He said, when these children come in here, they see you in the shirt, they see you in the tie, they see the way you talk. He always taught us, stay current on readings, have meetings with us and talk about, things that the Buffalo Soldiers, the Civil Rights Movement, all of these things. So it was definitely a learning institution. It was something that changed my life. And when I look back to the barbershops that I've been to, it was a blessing that I didn't get hired at those places. And the Afro Hut was definitely the place where I needed to be in order to grow and be all that I can be, man. I love that place so much. And I loved him just as a man. It was like my father, away from my father in Jersey.
How many years did you work there?
4 years.
4 years?
Yep, I worked there 4 years.
Okay.
And,
so how was he doing? I know he had quite a few master barbers working there.
Yeah, he had a couple master barbers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I've always heard of the Legendary. I went in there before when I used to sell books in salons and barbershops. And I did so happen because I kept hearing about him, and I actually went in there, and I did get to see, and I got to see him. Years and years ago, when I went in there, and I wasn't even thinking about opening up a barbershop at that point. I was just selling books, but I saw that. I was like, man, this is unique, what he got. But I had heard about him before. But man, I'm glad that we had people in our midst, and that you were trained by, because I can see where it came down the line where you were able to use a lot of, like you said, the business and just the model, from that. So you. Now you're 4 years after, you know what I'm saying? And at this time, did you finish school during that time before you opened up Nile Style?
Yeah, I started while I was in school, but when I started Nile Style, I finished school, and I was still working at the Afro Hut. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, all right. So, all right, just the question, because I want a lot of people that want to go into business to see how you did. So, how did you get the money to start Nile Style?
The crazy thing is, like I said, man, just kind of just being prepared in that opportunity, coming along. Before before I opened up Now Style, I started saving, and I started cutting. I cut back on a bunch of stuff, man. I didn't have cable. I wasn't going out. Wasn't partying, and I was asking questions to every vendor that came through the Afro Hut. So I'm saving as I'm saving. And while I'm doing that, my parents, they refinanced, and I forget what they were doing at the time. And I was like, wow, I said, you guys are, refinancing a home. I said, I want to open up a barbershop and I have a certain amount of money. I said, but if you guys gave me a loan, I would pay that loan back.
Right.
And I said, just get me a little something out of that, refinance, and I can put it with my money, and I can move forward. And they gave me a loan, man. They gave me a loan for $10,000, and I had that along with my money, and that's how it started. And I was true to my word, and I paid them back. I paid them back I think it was 3 years, about 3 years time. Paid them back. My father kept excellent records, so I couldn't just kind of skip out on it. But
right.
that's how I got it.
So what was your model? Because if you was able to pay it back in 2 or 3 years, what was your model? Because I know when I started off, it wasn't that easy for me. I mean, I got in. I mean, I did raise the funds, but it was a struggle. With getting. I had stylists mostly for a long time before I even got barbers. Before I even had a system in place. So it was a little tougher for me. It was always like hustling and trying to figure out how to get more people in and all that kind of stuff. So, what was your model? Did you use the same model as Afro Hut so far as did your barbers wear slacks and things of that nature? You know what I'm saying? And what was your model of getting good barbers in there? Because you had to have some good barbers in order to be for that to happen.
Same model. Same
Okay.
model, same model. And what's interesting was what I learned from Harry was that Harry owned that building that he was in, and he had 7 barbers on the bottom, 6 barbers on the top, and a salon in back of that.
Yeah.
And I said, in just the dynamics of the Afro Hut, which was on York Road in Cold Spring, right on the bus line.
Yeah.
So I said, I want to get a building and I want to put it on the bus line as well. So I'm on Northern Parkway and Harford Road, right off the corner.
Wow.
And I want to be across from a business that's sort of booming, that's known. So I looked for all of those things that the Afro Hut had.
Wow.
And same model, shirt and tie, slacks, come in early, lead weight. So I was man, I was working. I was in such a zone, and I was in such a zone. I was in one of those zones where Steph Curry, we can't miss, where the basket is almost like big as a dumpster. He could just throw it up and it goes in. That's the type of focus I was on.
That's what's up.
And there was just certain things that I just wouldn't do. I remember I was so focused. I remember going into a gas station, and I went and I got a Snapple. And I went to the register, and the lady told me $1.35, and I looked at it and I was like, "Really?" I said, $1.35. And I walked back to the refrigerator. I put it back, and I got in the car, and I just started laughing, and I was like, "Wow!" I said, I just like laughed, like, "Wow, I'm really deep into this." Like, I was just really deep in the zone, man, and I was like really working, but getting those good barbers. It's tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was certain things that I had to do that was really unorthodox. That wasn't just the norm, just the music that I played.
Yeah.
Just what I, stood for, no profanity. It was almost like it was really almost like the military, really in a sense. And I just wouldn't waver at all. I remember having friends come in and say, come in down from Jersey and was like, "Yo, now why are you playing this music?" I'll play jazz and stuff like this. And I'm like, this is the only way to go. Like I can't do it no other way. And that's it, just having that and just constantly putting everything back, into the business. And it was like I didn't stay away from just doing a whole lot of stuff, man. For 3 years, man, I've probably had maybe like 3 pair of jeans, man.
Right.
No cable. There are videos to this day that I would see, and I'll be like, wow, I'm seeing this for the first time. Like, because there was a certain period of time where I just didn't do entertainment.
Right.
It was just crazy, man. So I was really knuckled in and just trying to find those barbers. And that was like the biggest thing. That was the biggest and the hardest thing. And because I was so young, and it's really hard, it was easy kind of listening to Mr. Harry, but when you got a 25-year-old and everybody else is 24, 25, 26, older than you, you're going to get your challenges. You're going to get your pushbacks. But again, I was in the zone. I didn't care.
Dang, that's what's up, man. That's a great story of a discipline, like you said, because like I said, for me, I mean, so you only played like jazz music in there, like did you play like lectures and stuff like that, or just like you want to stay away from political issues and stuff like that, or it was
we just in the beginning we just did jazz.
Okay.
In the beginning we just did jazz because in the Afro Hut the only thing we did was 88.9.
Oh, okay.
That was it. Like the radio was stuck.
Yeah,
like if you turned it down, you couldn't turn it. Mr. Harry had it stuck. So that's all we listened to. And so I was like, I'm not gonna do 88.9. I'm gonna do jazz all day, every day. And then eventually we went to R&B, and then we started doing like the lectures. Remember they were doing the Farrakhan lectures with the beat in the back?
Yeah. You started playing those.
Yeah, so we started doing those. So after a while, I began to start mixing it up. Yeah.
And you also had your origins. You know what I mean? Your name, Shanile, you know what I'm saying? Because when I was thinking about the Nile too, when I kept saying the Nile, I was thinking about the Nile River, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was like Nile style. So, I mean, was it combined? Was it like a double thing going on there too? I mean, I know it was your name Nile was like,
Yeah, actually, my parents, that's where it came from. Shanile came from the origins from the Nile.
Ah, okay.
From the Nile River in Egypt.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. I mean, because man, it's hard to try to have a shop and try to have, a certain vibe. And we've always had a certain vibe. I mean, but we would get more political, we would play sometimes, when I was younger, man, we would play Khalid Muhammad, we would play like different things. And after a while, I had to stop playing like Khalid Muhammad because it was like, the thing was, because as much as I love Khalid Muhammad, we had a rule that if we had something on and then somebody was to walk into the shop, that we wouldn't stop it. You know what I mean? So, it was too like a lot of times we had Khalid on. Man, the last time I put Khalid on was probably about like 7 years ago. I mean, like a full lecture like that. And out of nowhere, but we rarely get Caucasians, white people to come into the shop. They come in sometimes. They come in to get haircuts. And you know what I'm saying? I said, let me put this Khalid on today. It was and all of a sudden, this regular average white man just walked into the shop. I mean, I don't know, he just walked into the shop. And it was Khalid going. I mean, he was going hard, bro. It was
he's a monster.
Man, he was going hard. And I said, you know what? After this, man, I can't play a outright Khalid because I can't. I felt like I was disrespecting him by cutting it off,
Yeah.
Cut it off, I'm saying, that I was chopping out. So I said, instead of me being in this situation, I can't play Khalid in the direct shot, like unless it's like one of those ones like Donahue, something that's like a little bit more toned down. But man, so it's hard. Sometimes we would go extremely hard. Sometimes we have ran some people out, but for the most part, the debates and stuff that we've had, has been incredible, man. We've been trying to capture that now, trying to do that on YouTube, but it's got a little tough for me to try to mic up everybody and all that stuff. So we just try to get some help to get people in, because man, like I said, we got a whole cat. We got, I'm like the Pan-African revolutionary, we got some people, and we got a Hebrew Israelite. Then we got,
Wow.
you know what I mean, people who follow Tariq Nasheed. You know what I mean? So it's like we
Right.
mixed up. Everybody got that love for each other, but it's a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
mix because it's like everybody go at it. You know what I mean? You never
Yeah.
know. It might be these two against that one, and then it might be me versus all three, the guys up the top. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So yeah, we
Wow.
have a good time. But I know what it is that you're talking about, and you remind me of another good brother. I asked him. I just got on the phone with him not too long ago. He used to own New Directions Barbershop over at the Ricerstown Road Plaza. You know what I'm saying? He had like the same type of vibe. You know what I mean? He would play like jazz and certain music, and he ain't play. Like when you came up in the shop, it was like, hey man, you know what I mean? Like, you smell like marijuana, man. You know what I mean? You mind stepping out the shop? Like he wouldn't he wouldn't
Wow.
hesitate, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, to get people out of there, you know what I mean? But he ran a successful business for a while also. So you kind of remind me of that. But yeah, man, I appreciate what you have been giving. So while you were there at Nile Style, then you become a master barber, became a master barber at Nile while you were there at Nile
Yep.
Style.
Yep.
Okay. And so I hear that you trained a lot of people, you know what I mean, there, you know what I mean, with apprenticeships and things of that
Oh yeah.
nature.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that was definitely something that I really wanted to do. It was a little difficult, at the Afro Hut. Harry really didn't. That's one of the things that he didn't push.
Right.
If you didn't, push it to say that you wanted to, take that step to, get your license or
Yeah.
whatever. Yes, he trained you, but he wanted you to kind of like, give that push. And a lot of those guys, they didn't have it in them. And
Right.
so I wound up getting my license while I was there. But I said, when I do mines, I said, I'm going to give these guys a little more push than what he did in order for them to get, their credentials. And so I kind of just did, things just slightly different, but he remained the blueprint for me.
Got you. Now I think I asked you this before because while we started talking about you in the barbershop before, they were saying like, yeah, man, up there now style, brother, he helped you with your taxes or something, I think, or something like that. You used to assist people to make sure their taxes was done or that their paperwork was good and stuff like that. Is that
Yeah, yeah, I would always try to get them, because my thing was I always had family members discouraging the young barbers. They would always say, yo, you need to get a real job. You need to get a
yeah,
real job.
yeah,
And that would just bother me. Like, wow, you know what, man, this industry, there's so much money here. There's so much potential. If we just, sort of line things up and did them right. So what I did was I sort of created a plan for my guys. Said, hey, you know what? This is how estimated taxes, are done. So I started doing, the research. And again, I was never the one to not ask a question. So when people came in to see Harry, that I saw that looked like they were important, I wanted to
right,
know who they were.
right.
So I got to talking with his accountant, who is my accountant to this day, which is crazy. And he went to Morgan as well. Um, I started setting these guys up like, hey, listen, this is what you do, for your taxes. This is what you want to do in terms of setting yourself up, because there's no pension, there's no, 401ks, anything
Right.
like that. You got to do this yourself.
That's right.
So I would, sort of set things up for them and talk to them and, give them like, yo, this is the deadline for this. Are you doing this? So every year, yo, saving those receipts,
That's right.
so I would, put those things in place because I wanted them to have a track record, because I didn't want them to keep coming to me saying, hey, I need a letter.
Yeah.
I want to get this. I need a letter.
Yeah.
Nah, I want to set you up to where, you're self-sufficient and your family don't have to say like, oh, this is not a real job. Nah, it's a real
Yeah.
job. This is a career. This is a
Yeah.
business. You're a business for yourself. And that's something that's foreign to us. So
Yeah.
those are the things that I did, and I made, kind of made sure they did it.
Yeah, because other than that, you got to keep getting stuff in other people's names, and
Yeah.
I mean, you're not filing your taxes, and sadly, a lot of the stuff with borrowing has became a hustle. So,
Right.
you know what I mean? People hide, you know what I mean? I'm a cut hair and they hide behind the numbers and all those different things. When people come to my barbering class, I mean, because I mean, bro, and I've done it. I participated in a lot of in a lot of the stuff, you know what I mean? And now my whole thing, when they come to barbering class, I'm like, look, get your license.
Yeah.
Get your license, man. You know what I mean? You gotta pay your dues. You know what I mean? Don't try to jump over getting your license. Do your taxes because you want to be able to put stuff in your own name. You don't want to be having to go to people and, hey, can I do this? Can I do this? You want to be able to, you know, get your paperwork so good that you know you can see a profit. You know what I mean? You can see things happen. And believe me, I mean, when I speak of this, you know what I mean, I'm still getting things all the way up to par too, you know what I mean? Because you know, there was a time in the past where, you know, my stuff was super sloppy, you know, but it's best to have your stuff straight. You know what I mean? So I encourage people, but look, get you, and we got this big thing because you know there's a big thing going on between licensed barbers and unlicensed barbers right now. The young barbers, you know what I'm saying, that's out right now. Like, I cut hair better than, I don't care what kind of master or they got license and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I cut hair better than they do, you know. And the thing is, you know, okay, maybe you do. Maybe you do, you know what I'm saying? But we talking about being a barber. You know what I mean? Not a person that just put hair on the floor. This a big thing that we talk about. Not just putting hair on the floor. You know, anybody can come and put hair on the floor and spray some stuff and do that. You know what I mean? But this is a spiritual teaching. This is a spiritual. It's a healing ministry that we actually and it has to be valued. And so I try to teach the value of barber. So how do you feel? How do you feel now about the new age barber? And look and they ain't got license to first, a lot of them, but they charging like $50, $60, $70 a heck. I mean, in the game 2 years, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, they like, yo, yeah, I need $60, $70 for this cut. You know, how do you feel? How do you feel about that?
You know, when I left during the pandemic back in 20, and now looking, it's like before the pandemic and after.
Yeah.
And I started hearing about the prices that they, you know, were charging, and I was just like, whoa. I was blown. I was like, man, I left too early. I left too early. I got to backtrack and get back in the game. But I think that the younger generation, it's difficult because I don't think they don't see the value in it. You know what I mean? Like you talked about license. It's not about, you know, how good you cut. You know, it's about, you know, your credentials and opening up, you know, opportunities for yourself.
Exactly.
You know, you might want to, you know, write in a journal or, you know, a magazine or, you know, a blog, and having those credentials open yourself up to, you know, other opportunities, because people know that, you know what, you went through a certain, you know, lessons in order to get here. There's a certain discipline that meets you, that walks with coming through the door. A lot of the younger barbers, man, you know, it's this, I think I blame it on social media, you know, a lot of it, because everybody wants to be a star and everybody feels like, you know, they're really more than, you know, than what they are, and not paying homage to the people who came before them. You can see it in entertainment. I mean, back when I was, you know, young, you would see people come on and say, you know, I would like to thank, you know, my inspirations, you know, Lionel Richie, you know, Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder.
There you go.
You don't get the younger artists coming on saying, I would like to, you know, shout out the people who inspired me. You don't get that anymore. Everything's all about them. And I went from shirt and ties, and I look at Now Style almost like Motown. When they had the, you know, the moves and the, you know, the gowns and the, you know, the tux, the uniforms and all. Now you look at Motown coming into the, you know, the coming out of the 80s into the 90s, things begin to change. You know, you didn't see that kind of stayed there. And it happened to me as well, where it was kind of difficult to get the younger barbers that were coming in to say, hey, you know what, this is what works. So I had to alter going from shirt and tie to shirts with Now Style on it.
Right.
And I had to sort of kind of change the game, because mentally they just wasn't trying to hear it, or they just wasn't there. You know, I'm saying to myself, you know, I think that the value of, just our elders and people who've gone through it, you know what I mean, sort of diminished. They look at, when you look at the age of influence, which is supposedly supposed to be around 40, that's when you're kind of entering your age of influence. But according to social media, you can be an influencer at 5 years old
Exactly.
and not go through anything.
Right.
So everything is flipped upside down and backwards. And if you just don't take the time to sit back and say, you know what, this world is, sort of crooked, and you kind of keep going, with it, you'll just stay deceived. But the realness, man, is, you just can't beat, an honest day's work. You know what I mean? No cutting corner, no nothing. You go in, you get an honest day's pay for honest day's work. When you get, some good, inspiration, you get some good resources, you get some good knowledge, from people who've gone through it, not just people who got the shine and the name and 1,000, 100,000 followers.
Yeah. Because when people call me about training them, training their children, training them, their sons or whoever it may be, it's always like, I want to get something to fall back on. Everybody say the same thing. I want my son to have something to fall back. I want my daughter to have something to fall back on. And that's how they look at the industry. And I constantly say to them, I said, well, they might want to fall forward on it too. I said, this is it's a respectable trade, and the biggest thing is that we are trying to, add the respect, bring the respect back to the, because the barbershop is a very important place in the Black community, man. It's a very, very, very important place and space. And we got to bring that back. We got to bring back, where we talking about some good stuff. And like you said, Brother Harry was saying, studying, knowing what's going on in the community, because you a historian, you a counselor, you a doctor, we used to operate, all of those things. And we want to add that back into, into the whole thing. So we say barbering, the difference between barbers and hair cutters, and the thing is, it's no hate. I love my young brothers and sisters. I love them. I love them. And we try to reach out to them and say, look, come on and see if we can help you. Let us try to help you get your license and get your stuff together. Because like something like even when COVID happened, if you remember, they put together a special little packet for barbers and stuff that we, for unemployment that we wouldn't normally have gotten. And you had to send over a barbering license for that,
right.
And they wasn't able to participate in that process. I mean, you never know what's going to happen in life, but just to have that, documented, man. And I'm really into like, now when you go searching things down, and for your grandchildren to be like, oh, look, there's my pops, pop's barbering license right there. Now maybe back in the day, our great grandfathers and all, they didn't have, you can't research it and find those things back then because it wasn't necessary during that time or whatever. But now in today's time, man, get your stuff. You wouldn't even want to be driving a car without a license right now. I mean, it's just the extra hassle, Go through the process, learn the rules. There's a lot of rules you need to learn when you're driving a car. You need to know those rules, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, same thing. I wouldn't want to go to a doctor and he's like, nah, man, I don't believe no license, but I'm nice with this stuff. I'm nice with these brain surgeries though, like I'm a beast with it. He like, you ain't studied it though, you know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, man. So, I mean, that's the thing. So we just want to encourage, those, young people, older people, man, get that license, do your paperwork. It's going to benefit you in the long run. When you look at people like, Madam C.J. Walker and Annie Malone, they had their paperwork and stuff straight to the point. That's why they was able to open up so many shops. That's why they was able to do. Banks would come to them like, hey, look, you need some money. It looked like what do you need? So when you got your stuff that tight, you ain't just talking about open up a shop. You know what I'm saying? And, you talking about open up shops. So now you reside in Florida. Florida now, and and that's great. So is that all? I mean, so now you just kind of like just sit back and just run from afar, Nile style, and just because when I see you, bro, on Facebook, you fishing, you farming, you know what I'm saying? Like you showed up big. I'm like, dang, man, that's the life. I got to get there, man. is that pretty much what you do there? I mean, just see like run a community garden and that's pretty much.
Yeah, that's sort of pretty much in a nutshell. But one thing before I get to that, there's one thing that you said about falling back, and you're saying falling forward. When I graduated from Morgan State University, I'm in the hood, Cold Spring Lane, York
Okay.
Road, in the barbershop. I
Yeah.
had so many of my peers tell me, like, yo, why are you still here? You got your degree. You can go here. Such and such is doing this. They got this management trainee over here, over here. I was getting a lot of flack from my just my peers.
Right.
And a lot of the young people, they wanna do things, but we so conditioned to, go work and get these titles. And I actually left for a second. Went to Kids Foot Locker, stayed there for maybe 2 weeks, went back to the barbershop.
Right.
And I had a conversation with my mother, and I said, Mom, I said, you paid for my college education. I got a degree. I'm in the barbershop. I said, what do you think about that? She said, you never call here asking me for money. She said, if you like it, I love it.
Wow.
That's all I needed.
Wow.
That's all I needed. And
Yeah.
from there, I was super comfortable. I didn't care what anybody said. But then once I opened up Now Style, everybody became my friend again. It was like, oh, that's my man. That's my man.
Right.
But I wanted to say that to, for the, the young people, listening, just stick to your game, stick to your heart. Don't be influenced by people who want to tell you what's best for you, and they're not doing what's best for them. They're not being all that they can be. So, know yourself, and, move forward, like you said, fall forward. But my days, now I get to do a lot of the things that that are hobbies, and and things that interest me. I said when I moved to Florida, I want to catch, I want to eat and cook fresh fish. Anything that I can grow, I'm not buying.
Wow.
I'm taking advantage of the climate here. So I just planted some squash and some cucumbers this morning.
That's what's up.
So, that, sort of switching the mindset, of supplementing that, that grocery bill with these high, these higher prices. And I said, you know what, I'm going to use nature. I'm going to use, what I know how to do. And, getting a camper. You probably saw the camper on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
2 years ago. And, now, we're out and, meeting people in a whole nother like environment, it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
You're meeting people who like, this is like life for them. And it's like, wow, you know what? And I feel like, somebody told me before, life is about experiences. And I just want to continue to experience, life, and everything that I've done at Now Style, is still paying dividends, and it's allowing me to, two-part thing, continue to provide an opportunity for barbers, continuing to have a place where they can make money, feed their families, also for the community to still come in, and we do different programs and stuff like that. But that also pays dividends to allow me to live, like I'm living right now. So all those days, man, all of those meetings, all of that stuff, man, that was just putting money in the bank, you know what I mean, spiritually and mentally. So now I'm kind of like taking from it. And I kind of felt a little bad, I'm gonna tell you the truth, in the beginning. And because my wife, she works from home, and she still works, and she's working, and I'm pretty much doing really what I want to do. And I was like, wow. I told her, and she said, all the work that you put in, at Now Style, she was like, you was there when you went and it was dark in the morning.
Right.
When it was dark. She was
Right.
like, all those hours, she was like, you deserve to be doing what you're doing right now. And once she said that, I was good. Just like when my mother said,
Yeah.
like, I love it. I said, okay, are we good? Oh, all right, we are right now. So, just having that confirmation, what I mean, from the people that, that means a lot to you and that you love,
So you hear that, fam? You can, retire, you know what I mean? But the brother's still running the business. He still has the business, but he ain't cutting hair no more from behind the chair. He cut what he want to cut, and he basically cutting fish and vegetables and stuff now. Is what he actually doing now. You know what I mean? But he retired. You know what I mean? And the brother's in his early 50s. So the success stories that we have, man, are just it's crazy. And we want to continue to bring these stories. You know what I mean? To inspire people that you can do it. Now, one last thing I want you to talk about.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about so many times. This is a problem when barbers go into the apprenticeship phase or when they first come into the barbershop. There is a process. You know what I'm saying? And if you answer, you won't make it. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you may cut 2 heads in a day. You know what I'm saying? You may cut this, you know what I mean? But you got to promote. You got to get out there. You got to pass out flyers. It's a process. And once you get through that process, you can do really well. But talk about that process that most people cannot make it through.
Well, I almost didn't make it. Yeah, I almost didn't make it.
Right.
I was cutting that, out of my apartment, out of the dorm. But when I got to the barbershop, it was a total different world.
Yeah.
I mean, these brothers in here, man, they was using some real serious tools. And, they had clientele, they were there, they put in the work. So again, myself, I'm coming from out of town. I didn't grow up in the community. So I'm really starting, from scratch. But I was in the Afro Hut and I'm in there and I'm on a Saturday, man, and I'm just sitting, and you got, customers with jokes and everything. And it sort of gets to you.
Yeah.
And you cut a head and you're like, man, it's been 6 hours and I only cut, 2 heads, man. I only made like $25. Haircuts back then was only like $11.
Right. Exactly.
And I got real, I'm gonna tell you, I had got very discouraged. And I said, you know what? I'm sitting here and I'm sort of embarrassed because that day it really got kind of wild in terms of the cracking jokes. And I had no defense, really. I would walk out, come back in, laugh with them. But it really hurt. I said to myself, I'm going to take my trimmers and I'm going to just unplug them. I'm going to put them in my hand and everything else, I'm good. I'm going to just leave and I'm going to just walk away. And I did that. I unplugged my trimmers because those was my best tool. Took them out. I walked out. And I'm standing on York Road, and I look back in the window, and I see my chair. My chair's empty. Everybody else is cutting. We got 7 barbers down there, and I look, and I was like, I'm about to be out. I was just gonna leave, and something told me, don't leave.
Right.
Nah, you got to go back. So I went back in, sat down. I can't remember if I got a cut, I probably did, maybe got 1 or 2 more, but I stayed. And after that day, I saw the other barbers, coming in a little late, some leaving a little early. And there was this one guy, man, all you need is one. You need one supporter. I had this one guy, man, named Martin that worked in the front, older guy. And people would come in and he'd be like, he was packed. I mean, this guy was amazing. He'd be like, hey, check out the young boy down there. Check out the young boy down there. He good.
Yeah.
And he would, kind of send me some people. And I started getting better. Because when you in the barbershop, it's a whole different world. I started getting better.
Yeah. It's like the NFL, going to the NFL.
Right. And that time, you really have to put in that time, man. I would be outside, the cars would come. Hey, here's my card. Come see me. I would be on the weekends or after work, or I'm in the mall giving out my card, leave my card. If I go, there are clients that I've went into, let's just say a grocery store or a bookstore. I remember a guy was working at the bookstore. He became a client of not only the Afro Hut, but he became a client of Nile Style. He wound up following another one of my barbers to a shop that he went to. And then he wound up coming back to Nile Style to another, one of my other barbers. But that's the thing.
Right.
You have to like put yourself out there, man. And it just pays, it just kind of pays dividends, man. And some people gonna be like, nah, I'm good, say whatever. But you have to really just kind of plant yourself. Harry told us, plant yourself behind that chair. Stay
Yeah.
behind your chair. Speak
Yeah.
to people.
Yeah.
You know, that vibe, like you were saying,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
customer service. People will come in,
That's right.
and I know that they're going to somebody else, but I would speak to them. Hey, how you doing? You know, because that person might get really busy, and they might be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go check. You know, I'm gonna go check him out. So then you begin to build. You build clientele. At that rate, but it's a very daunting task. Everybody don't make it. But the thing is this: what if I would have left? What if I would have walked out and
Yeah.
said, you know what, forget it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you talking about Nile Style, man, and the people who have come through there, who have gone on to open up their own shop, the people who have just done amazing things, the things that we've done out that shop for the community. And not only that, but once I really got my footing in the Afro Hut, the younger guys who came in, that I was able to, mentor, and talk to them. There was a barber that came in. I actually taught him how to do a fade. And he wound up years later opening up his own barbershop.
That's what I'm talking about.
We'll talk about it to this day. Like, yo, remember, man, when I taught you how to do a fade? If I would have left that day and just kept walking, man, a lot of stuff wouldn't have happened, man. A lot. We probably wouldn't be talking right now.
But everybody got those stories, and me and a lot of the other brothers, we sit down with the young barbers and stuff. We tell them, like, look, and we all tell them our story, same story like you just telling, and still some of them still like, I can't do it, you know what I mean, and they fold under. But it's a lot of them, and they made for everybody to make it through, but for those who make it, it's a great career. It's a great career for, you know what I'm saying. Last, you know what I'm saying, you used to do the I know you was doing the screenings, the health screenings there, and you were also doing the it was the community conversation parties that you were doing. If you could just speak on that right quick, and we're gonna get you out of here.
Oh yeah, man. We started the conversation parties in 2012, and it kind of birthed out of a book that I read called The Conversation by Hill Harper. And he had a conversation party, and I was like, man, I said, you know what, that's kind of hot. That's a really good idea. He had friends, and they talked about different things. And I said, in the barbershop, a lot of times we just talk about, sports, and entertainment. But I said, you know what, we need to talk about some really, topics that affects us as men. So I wound up putting together, just, different, programs and, different exercises that men can do so we can come in. So we had this 4-part thing where we had a definition of a man, because when we first started, we was like, what's a man? It was all over the place. So we wound up coming in saying a man is one who rejects passivity, accepts responsibility, leads courageously, and invests eternally.
Right.
And that's what we get to build on. And man, we had so many breakthroughs where brothers, man, would tell their stories, man, and would just tears coming down, man, in the whole room. And I think we broke a lot of strongholds and different things, and we ran that from 2012 all the way up until the pandemic. Wow. So we did that every once a month on a Saturday for 2 hours, and that was really good. And then I started doing the health screenings, because that's another thing that I kind of wanted to do, because we kind of overlook the health. There was so many people just passing away, young people, just heart attacks and things. And I said, you know what, heart attacks, we talk about murder and homicide and different things, but heart disease is one of the biggest killers amongst African-American men. I said, so why don't we do something in the barbershop where we can, do some screenings or whatever, and encourage brothers to, to go to the, doctor. And that's what, we started doing. We started doing, blood pressure screenings. And, we would actually do them while the person's sitting in the chair. And we had these cards where we would actually show them, where they are. The temperature was normal, the blood pressure was normal, or if it was, in the danger zone. and we would encourage them, and we would have different resources and stuff that they could call into, or go to, to do that. And we've had some really good success stories, through that. We had this one brother, man, who came in. His numbers was off the charts, but he was feeling fine. But that's the thing with hypertension, high blood pressure. You don't feel it. And this brother had 4 kids. And he wound up going to the doctor. He wound up going to urgent care. That day. And he came back and told us, what the doctor said and everything. And he was like, he glad he did. He glad he went, because he was like, at any moment, that's where he was.
Wow.
On the scale. Wow. And had a lot of brothers started, changing their diet, and we started talking about it in the conversation parties, about, eating right and, things like that. And I think that what I'm doing today with the, running the community garden here, where I live, and, trying to, talk to people about, the benefits of it all. It's like the stepping stone, man. When I look back, at my life, and it's like this movie that I've read, Mr. Church, and he talks and he says, books are meant to be read from beginning to the end, but they best understood from the end to the beginning. And when I look at a lot of things that I've done, I look at the end and I look back and I'll be like, wow, that dot connects to this, and this now is here. And it's almost, man, it's full circle. It's a beautiful thing, man. I'm loving life.
No doubt. No, I appreciate it. Just real quick, when you were at Morgan, there was a group called Gentlemen of Equality or Gentlemen of Quality. Do you remember that group?
Yeah, GQ, Gentlemen of Quality.
GQ. And I think I told you that yesterday, because you remind me of a bunch of guys that was in there, like Brother Lamar Shields, Derek Chase, and they used to do these wake up sessions and all. Did you ever attend any of those? The wake up sessions they used to do?
I probably attended every wake up session on campus that it was, man.
Okay, I probably saw you at some of those, because I was early on in my in my years also. Yeah, I used to go. We used to go up there, man. They used to be so packed and crowded up in that joint.
It was amazing, man. I used to love to see D Chase go in whole court.
Yeah. That was my man, and so he was a big inspiration. I mean, a lot of them guys, we all started around the same time. I used to go up to Morgan. He was out there with the muffin stand, selling hot dogs and drinks and stuff, and that inspired me, man. That was a lot of stuff that inspired me to want to do my own bit. Like, man, look at them, they grinding, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, Terrence, Terrence Frazier.
Yeah, Terrence. Yeah. I know a lot of them brothers, man. Good. Real good people, man, and real good friends of mine also. But man, it's been a blessing, man. And I want to, like they say, give you your flowers while you living, man. We really appreciate the work that you've put into the community and what you've done for the barbering community, but the community in general. And man, just thank you for what you've done. And of course, this ain't the last time you're gonna be on here. We're gonna constantly be bringing you on, and and other barbers, and just telling a story, man, and inspiring people, because you got a story and you've been a leader in the community, and we appreciate that. Is there anything else that you wanted to say? Did we miss anything?
Just I think we covered we covered the good amount, man. But I just appreciate you bringing me on. I just appreciate just the conversation and everything, and thank you. And everything that that you're doing with the Barbering Boot Camp, and everything that I've heard about you from the time that I was hearing about you, up until now, man. So, continue to, do your thing, and the streets are watching. So, yeah, no doubt, we got work to do.
No doubt. I appreciate you for coming on, bro. And like I said, we'll see you the next time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, have a good one.
One love.
It's about commitment, healing, honor, respect. This is Barber Life. Cutting hair, I like it. Barbershop, I like it. Change your life, I like it. Conversate, I like it.